Hey, Perry Jeffries, the entrepreneur CFO here at The Ohio State University, preparing to give a keynote presentation to this upcoming class of entrepreneurs. We are super excited, ready to make some things happen, and just look forward to just bringing fire to the table and helping these entrepreneurs go into the next phase of their lives.
Please welcome Mr. Perry Jeffries.
Hey. Wow. So I have a problem with Mr. Troy for making me follow the first dynamic speakers. So Dr. J, Ms. Tanya, phenomenal words of wisdom that they gave you guys. So when Mr. Troy, Eric E, as I know him, asked me to come and speak to you guys, I was wrecking my brain trying to figure out what I could share with you guys in about 15 to 20 minutes, because I really need probably about 2-3 days. So as I tried to condense my thoughts, I started trying to write. And if anybody's been in any of my workshops, you know I don't come with canned workshops. I kind of just speak from the heart, right? So I have some notes here, but we're still going to freestyle and be in the booth, and I'm going to speak from the heart. Everybody okay with that? Okay, cool. Let's get right into it. So as I was thinking about what to share with you about entrepreneurship, a common theme kept coming back to me. So this is the advice I want you to leave with, because I was thinking about what can I give them that's going to inspire them? What can I give them that's going to impact them and affect them moving forward in their lives? And as I thought about it, this kept coming to mind. Don't do it. When it comes to entrepreneurship, don't do it. And I'll repeat it again. Do not do it. See, entrepreneurship isn't something you do. Entrepreneurship is something that you become. It's something that you evolve into. It's something that you are. As I've been speaking to hundreds of entrepreneurs in my 15 years of being a financial advisor, a common theme always arises with the entrepreneurs that I deal with. They're all in. It's not maybe I might try this. I don't do this entrepreneurship thing. They become the entrepreneurship. So as I started thinking about what to share with you, I had to think back and say, Perry, how did you become an entrepreneur? So at 42 years of age, I'm now the quote unquote entrepreneur CFO, but how did I get to this point? And it's been some experiences that I've had that I'm going to share with you. And as I was getting these thoughts together, I was just laughing in the back of my mind as I was getting this stuff on paper to share with you. So these are my experiences. And granted, we all have different experiences, but as I go through my experiences, I want you to think about yours. I want you to think about what you've been through. So as I start off, I'm from Akron, Ohio. And my parents, Perry and Amy Jeffries, are two of the hardest working people on the planet. Now, the lazy bone in their body. So something my dad always taught me. He said, always have an A, a B, and a C plan. If something happens to your A, be able to fall back on your B and your C. Well, hindsight being 2020, you know what my dad was teaching me about? Having multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of income. So when we talk about our multiple streams of income, it gets me to think of how my dad put me to work. And he worked me to death. And I appreciate it now. So the first thing we used to do, my father was a volunteer for the American Red Cross. So it was a morning program in the summertime, first thing in the morning, teaching inner city kids and even adults how to swim, right? Because there were so many drownings going on as far as within the city. So I learned to swim at a very young age, probably about 4 or 5 years old. Advanced so quickly in swimming that I had passed all the tests you could possibly pass without becoming a lifeguard by the time I was 10. So what did we do? I woke up every morning with my dad in the summertime to go volunteer and teach the kids how to swim. Because here's the deal. After you get to the point that you're an expert or you've had some success in an area, that doesn't mean you stop. The lesson I learned from that experience was understanding the difference between being successful and being relevant. Have you guys ever thought about that? What's the difference between being successful or relevant? Success is what you can accomplish personally. Relevance is based upon how many people you can make successful. So that was a lesson my dad was teaching me. And I don't even know if he knew he was teaching me that lesson. But I learned about relevance. I learned about coaching. I learned about paying forward, paying backward, taking care of other people. So that's the first lesson. So that was the volunteer piece with the Red Cross. Now let's get into the real work. So around the 7th grade, I went to my mom and said, Mom, I'm gonna get a paper route. Because all of the homies were getting paper routes, right? Now, some of y'all young folks in here are like, what is a paper route? Don't worry about it, I'm gonna explain it to you. Y'all like, what are you talking about, paper route? Folks actually used to like hand deliver papers to your door. It wasn't, it wasn't social media and the Google and all of that. If you wanted the news, you had to jump on like the nightly news or get a newspaper, real talk. So I went to my mom, I said, I want a paper route. She said, okay, so start off with about 35 customers. Now, if you know my mother, Amy Jeffries, she believes in playing bingo. Well, she saw where I was making a little extra paper, right? So she said, let's get another paper out. So fast forward from 35 papers to about 800. In Akron, Ohio, that's about 20 blocks. If a route came open, we picked them up. That's my first exposure to a home-based business. Because guess what? Not only did you have to deliver the paper, wasn't no Cash App. Wasn't no Venmo, you know what I'm saying? The other stuff y'all transfer money with. You had to go knock on people's door like, I need that paper for that paper. You've been getting papers all month. We need our money. We had to collect door to door. Other thing about the paper route that you may not know. Paper route is one of those businesses where there are no days off. Guess what happened on Christmas? Deliver papers before you open presents. Thanksgiving, New Year's, not one day off. Snow day, what are you talking about? Papers need to be delivered by 6:30 a.m. So get your head wrapped around this. So in the 7th grade, so I had to be probably 12 years old, I'm delivering papers every day. And after my mom lost her mind, we were all delivering papers every day. It was a family business. Rain, sleet, or snow. I can tell you stories about wrapping papers, folding papers. Putting our hands on the dashboard of the car, because up in Akron, Ohio, Northeast Ohio, hands are freezing. We're just trying to get our hands warm just so we can deliver papers. Not one day off. So I learned something during that experience. And again, hindsight being 20/20, because I didn't realize it at the time. There were no excuses. Papers had to be delivered by 6:30. And that's what we committed to. And so there were no excuses. So do you know, guys, you know what excuses are? Excuses are tools of incompetence. I'll say it again, excuses. Excuses are tools of incompetence, which leads to minds of nothingness. And those who indulge in them are seldom capable of anything else, excuses, right? So there were no excuses. So that's a lesson I learned on the paper route. Now fast forward, because it didn't stop with the paper route. So stay with me here. I don't want y'all to feel sorry for it. I'm just giving you real talk. So we had the Red Cross, right? Volunteer to Swim program. We had the paper route every day, no days off. And one day my dad decided to get a power saw, chainsaw. Lord have mercy. So we started cutting down trees. And what came of that was Jeffries and Sons tree trimming and removal. I hated this job. Have any of y'all ever cut down a tree with the wrong equipment? Right? So after we would finish delivering papers, we would then come home and eat, because he would at least feed me, and then we would load up the Jeep and go cut down lots of trees. So if you had a tree about to fall on your house, we'll cut it down. If you're trying to build over here and you got about a couple acres and you need to get that cleared up, we would cut it down. Some of the hardest work. And I enjoyed cutting down the trees. That wasn't my issue. Cutting down the trees was kind of fun, because I'm out there, I got the chainsaw and I'm doing my thing. But after you cut down trees, you have to clean up. They clean up. So imagine this. My father, who I love dearly, and I even appreciate him more as I'm now a father and an adult. He kind of has a little OCD, right? Very detail oriented. So we wouldn't leave the job site until every leaf was picked up. Now, if you cut down 20 trees, how many leaves do you think are out there? More than 20. There's not one leaf per tree. So we're talking about thousands of leaves. I said I hated this job, right? And we would not leave until it looked like no trees had been there ever. So we cut them down, we stacked them, and got all the leaves up. Well, hindsight being 2020, that was another lesson. And it's a lesson I've taught my beautiful daughters here, and I won't put them on the spot. But it's a lesson about always finish. Y'all gonna do always finish with me? No? So I'll share it with the group. And y'all can jump in if you want to. You ready? If a task once begun, do it well until it's done. Be the labor, great or small. Do it well or not at all. Always finish. All right? So I was like, okay, that's a major, major lesson. Now, how many jobs we have so far? Three of them, right? I'm still in school. So let me tell you about my parents, Perry and Amy Jeffries. So I'm doing all of this work. Mind you, I'm up before every kid at school, right? Because I'm up at 4:30, 5:30 throwing papers because they have to be delivered by 6:30. So I couldn't slip on my grades, right? There was like, my parents set a certain bar of excellence. So A's were expected. B's were tolerated. C's were unacceptable. I could not bring a C in to my parents' home, not to the Jeffries household. The one time I brought a C in, they almost went bananas. My dad tried to kick me off the basketball team. My mom had to plead with him like, no, please don't take basketball away from me. 1 C. I wasn't below the team average. I was the team average more than likely. But it was just one class I refused to do homework because back then, you know what I'm saying, most of your grades was based, like 80% of your grade based on your homework. I just take tests. I ain't worried about the homework back then. At least that's what I thought, right? So they set a certain expectation of excellence that I always had to adhere to. So moving fast forward, and again, I'm just sharing my experiences with you. I want you to think about your experiences because the first thing I told you guys was don't do entrepreneurship. Become entrepreneurship. Evolve. And there are some experiences that all of you have had in here, which if you take a step back and reflect on those experiences, you will be excellent. I promise you that. So a couple years later, down the line, I get this idea in my mind that, I want to join a fraternity. Boy, oh boy, they did not tell me what I was in store for. But I had a great foundation with respects to the way I was raised and how my parents raised me. But what I learned about joining a fraternity was teamwork. It didn't matter how successful or how good I was. Only thing that mattered was how the entire group functioned. So in that sense, not only did I have to be successful, but I had to make sure that those around me were successful. But guess what? Perry Jeffries isn't good at everything. I had to lean on some people too. So not only did I have to learn how to lead, but also be part of a team, but also learn how to be led. I said again, entrepreneurship is evolution. You never stop being an entrepreneur. After you make the commitment to become an entrepreneur, it's always growth there, okay? So in conclusion, because I got the itinerary and said I only had 15 minutes, I'm probably over my time. In conclusion, what I wanted to kind of share with you guys was this. I was speaking at a high school probably a month ago. I had a young man stand up and he said to me, he said, Mr. Jeffries, how do you break the cycle of poverty? So what I shared with him from my experience, because I didn't come from wealth, right? And though we had a lot of hustles, we had the A, B, and C plan. You know, my parents weren't privy to come into an environment like this where you could learn hands-on by other successful entrepreneurs. Just not folks talking the game, but folks actually living that life. So I told him, I said, you know, I learned how to do what I do with respects to investing in real estate, investing in stocks and bonds, and becoming a financial advisor. That started with a book. So I didn't have millionaire mentors, successful entrepreneur mentors. I had a book. I had Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I had Multiple Streams of Income by Robert G. Allen. I had Creating Wealth by Russ Whitney, right? So what I told the young man, I said, a lot of the information you're looking for can be found in some books. But I didn't start to realize any success until the one day I reached out to someone that I knew and said, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm in real estate. I said, can I take you out for a cup of coffee and ask you some questions? And that cup of coffee, $1.50 coffee, turned into a $4 million real estate portfolio. So the information you're looking for can be found in books, can be found in your classroom, but the execution is going to come from your relationships. So realize this or not, as entrepreneurs, you're in this awesome, university with super sharp students, classmates. Neuroscience, I majored in basketball, right? But you may be sitting next to your CFO of your company. You may be sitting next to your COO. You may be sitting next to your business partner. Maintain these relationships, man. Crazy valuable. I asked Eric, I said, what you want to talk about? He said, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? Those relationships I had at school, at Howard University in New York and Tennessee State, when I was in school, it's just like, hey, I want to play basketball, because that's all I really knew. Had I known then that I was going to be traveling this entrepreneurial road, I would have maintained better relationships, because some of my classmates are multimillionaires. And if we had maintained closer relationships, birds of a feather flock together, right? Yes, always keep that in mind. So, a couple key points here I'm going to lay out here for you. What's entrepreneurship? Again, is not what you do, it's who you are, right? The other piece, build a team. You can't do it by yourself. I learned that here recently. Build a team. You cannot have all the best ideas, right? Continue to grow. All the successful entrepreneurs I know never stop learning. Never. I have a coach. Never stop learning. Build a team. Be intentional with your time. When I say be intentional with your time, all of us have the same 24 hours in a day. So what is it that billionaire is doing with his 24 hours that you're not doing with yours? We all have the same 24 hours, 7 days a week, right? That is your most valuable resource, is time, okay? So with that being said, usually I like to take questions and see what's going on, but I know that really doesn't happen with a keynote speech, if you will. But I just want to say how extremely proud I am of this group. I mean, congratulations for completing another year. Seniors, we wish you the absolute best of luck, right? And I'm going to leave you with this. Only after you decide to pledge your commitment to become an entrepreneur, not to do entrepreneurship, because you will fail if you try to do it. But when you pledge yourself to become an entrepreneur, don't quit. And those who know me know I don't believe in quitting. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when funds are low and debts are high, when you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure has turned about when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Often the struggler is nearer than he seems. Many failing and faltering men have seen. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. But he learned too late when the lights were down how close he was to the victor's crown. Success is failure turned inside out. A silver tint on a cloud of doubt. You never can tell how close you are. You may be near, yet seem so far. So stick to the fight. When your heart is hit, is when things seem worse. You must not quit. God bless y'all.
Hi, my name's Austin Harsh, and my thoughts on the keynote speaker were that I appreciated how down-to-earth and real it was, and that being an entrepreneur is less about doing things and more about living it.
Hi, my name is Brianna, and I am a second year at The Ohio State University. I'm majoring in City and Regional Planning, and I'm here at the Buckeye Social Entrepreneurship. And today I thought our keynote speaker was amazing. He was very wise, and it just reminds me of how I grew up and like how much I really admire hard workers and people who want to make a change in the world. So I just want to say thank you for coming, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you.